Hi, I'm Jimmy DeScott, and I'm going to show you how to win at blackjack. This is my advanced blackjack tape. So you should already have my beginners, so you know all the basics of this game, but in case you don't, let me just briefly run over them for a couple of minutes. The game is so simple, blackjack. It was invented 300 years ago by the French. Matter of fact, you couldn't invent a card game more simple than blackjack. So I want you to appreciate the simplicity of this game because I want you to relax when you're playing this game. It's your easiest of all gambling games to master. Anybody within 3 months could become a world champion. You have to get closer to 21 than the dealer without going over 21. You go over 21, you lose, but if the dealer goes over 21, he loses too. So it's the same rule for the dealer as it is for you. And it's you against the dealer, never mind anybody else at the table. But I'm going to teach you about card counting. I'm going to tell you about watching those cards. And I'm going to teach you money management on this tape. And using your money at the right time, the right amount, is what's going to make you a winner at all gambling games. So to start with, the game is really very simple. Aces count 1 to 11. Face cards count 10. All of the cards, face value. You get 2 cards, dealer gets 2 cards, he shows you one of his cards called the dealer's up card. Now, you got to get closer to 21 than the dealer. Now, try not to hit those breaking hands. You hit those breaking hands too often, no, you can't hit them all the time, and you go over 21, you lose automatically. Even if the dealer goes over 21 in the same hand, you don't get your money back. So be careful about hitting those breaking hands. Of course, if your first 2 cards are an ace and a face card, just turn them face up. That's a blackjack. It's an automatic winner unless the dealer has a blackjack. Anytime you tie with the dealer, you keep your money. But if the dealer's got a 6 showing or a 5 showing or a 9 showing, you know darn well he hasn't got a blackjack. You get 3 to 2 for your blackjack. You got 2 chips out there, they'll pay you 3. You get 50% more for your bet. So try to do that as much as possible. 20, good hand. You know that. Don't hit a 20 and don't split those face cards. You know better than that. 20 is a good hand. 19 is a good hand. You get 19 in your first 2 cards, you tuck your cards under your money without touching your money. Once you put your bet out there, leave it alone. Or just drop your cards beside your money, indicating to the dealer you don't want any more cards. And always wait till the dealer comes to you before you make your move at a blackjack table. 18's a good hand, 17's a good hand. I'll tell you all about soft 17 in just a minute. Up to 11, take a card. You got a 3 and a 2 in your first 2 cards, you got to get closer to 21 than 5, and yet you don't have to worry about going over 21. At your first 2 cards up to 11, take another card. I'll tell you all about splitting. I'll tell you all about doubling down in just a second. I'm going to review it just like I put it on my beginner's blackjack tape. Your problem is hitting the hands between 11 and 17 called the breaking hands. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Personally, I don't like hitting a 16. You got to be lucky hitting a 16. The odds are 8 to 5 against you. I'll only hit a 16 if that dealer's got an ace showing and if a lot of big cards went out in the last hand. You see, you know the biggest trick of this game is watching the deck, watching the big cards and the little cards, especially those darn face cards. Blackjack's a 5% game in favor of the casino. All players know that. Yeah, we get 10% from the bad players. Yes, we only get 1 or 2% from the good players, and I want to make you a good player. 5% from the average player, and watching face cards alone will make you a 4% better. You got to watch those face cards as they come out of the deck. Know if they're in the deck or out of the deck. Hitting those 16s. I don't like hitting 15s either. You really got to be lucky hitting a 15. They're almost as bad as a 16. I don't even like hitting a 14. Unless the dealer's maybe got an ace showing, I'll hit a 14, and maybe sometimes when he's got a face card, if a lot of big cards went out the last hand, I say, please God, give me a 4, 5, or a 6 on my 14. I'll even take a 7 on my 14. Watching the big cards and the little cards, and that's the only secret when it comes to hitting breaking hands. The only answer, know what cards are in the deck and play as good a percentage as you possibly can. And it's pure guesswork. Nobody knows what card is coming off that deck. So I'll help you somewhat with card counting in just a minute. But the simplicity of it, watching those big cards and those little cards. I don't even like hitting 13, but I do quite often because it's my lucky number. I don't mind hitting 13. You ought to hit those 12s a lot though. And the best secret I know in hitting those 12s is watching face cards because they're the only card that can break you. 10, Jack, Queen, King, there's only 4 of each of those in the deck. There's only 16 cards out of 52 that'll break you when it comes to hitting a 12. 12's your easiest, so start with the 12 before you get to the tougher hands. I'll get to card counting in just a minute. So be careful about hitting those breaking hands. Now here's my chart on the screen right now when it comes to hitting breaking hands. Look at this chart on the screen right now. See, on all hands, whether it's a 12 to a 16, there's only 4 cards that'll make you a winner. 1 card is a tie card. Like you got a 16, you say, give me a card, dealer gives you an ace, that's a 17. 17 is not a win. 17 is a push, because the dealer's got to hit till he gets 17. You say, well, if he goes over 21, I win on 17. If he goes over 21, you'd have won on 16. You didn't need the darn ace to begin with. Dealer's got to hit till he gets 17. So there's always one tie card. Only 4 cards that'll make your hand, but the problem is the number of cards that'll break you. Like on a 16, 8 cards will break you. The odds are 8 to 5 against you. That's almost 2 to 1 against you when you're hitting a 16. It's almost 2 to 1 against you when you're hitting a 15 too. So you really got to be lucky hitting those breaking hands. Notice on a 12, there's only 4 cards can break you. So watch those face cards and learn all about hitting. Now, another rule I like at blackjack is, and it's on the table, dealer must draw to 16 and stand on all 17s. Now, at some casinos, the rule says dealer must hit a soft 17. That's a rule I like. You see, at this game, when the dealer do 2 cards to you and 2 cards to himself, and he shows you half his hand, he might have a good card showing or a bad card showing. And that gives you your tip on splitting and doubling down. Splitting and doubling down is putting more money on the table after the cards are dealt. After the cards are dealt. Think about it. What an advantage that is to us players. When do you do it? Put more money on the table? When the dealer's got a bad card showing. What's a bad card? Well, the good cards are an ace. Dealer's got an ace. I don't recommend you put out more money. Aces count 1 to 11. That dealer's got 2 chances to make his hand. I don't suggest you put out more money when the dealer's got an ace showing. Face card's a good card for that dealer to show. Be careful. 9s, 8s are good cards for that dealer to show. But I'll tell you sometimes when to split and double down against 9s and 8s. 7s are also a good card for that dealer to show. 6, a 5, a 4, and a 3 are the bad cards for that dealer to show. Those are the real bad cards. And be careful about a 2. A 2 is a pretty good card for that dealer to show. It's so close to an ace, there's many ways that dealer can make his hand showing a deuce. But I attack a deuce quite often. I attack a 7 quite often. But you should almost always attack a 3, 4, 5, or 6 when the dealer shows one of those 4 cards. Now, the dealer shows a 6. Under that 6, if he's got an ace, soft 17. Aces, you know, count 1 to 11. That's what they mean by soft. You got an ace and a 6, that's a soft 17. You hit it with the queen, you now got a hard 17. Dealer's got a 6 showing, you got 16. Would you take a card? Would you take a card? You got 16, dealer's got a 6 showing? I don't think so. I wouldn't either. But under that 6, he's got an ace. Dealer stands on all 17s, you lose automatically. But at some casinos, dealer must hit a soft 17. I like that rule. He's got to take a card. It's not an automatic loss. So there's a tip at the table. Look for that rule too. Now, splitting is when your first 2 cards are a pair, like a pair of 2s, pair of 3s, pair of 4s, pair of 5s. You can split them, put more money on the table, and it's got to be an equal bet. You got $10 out there, you must put another $10 on the table when you're splitting. But you now can play 2 hands against that dealer. When that dealer's got a 3, 4, 5, or a 6 showing, I wish I could play 10 hands against that sucker right now. I love that rule. Now here's my chart on splitting cards. Look for this right now on your screen. See when I split a pair of 2s, you see when I split a pair of 3s, pair of 4s, pair of 5s, and you're better off to double down on a pair of 5s. At most tables. But when I play out of a shoe, and I'm going to tell you when I teach you about multi-decks on this tape, why I like to play out of a shoe, that's where they got 5 or 6 decks of cards. You get about 10 hands out of a shoe, uninterrupted hands, and I catch those lucky streaks better out of a shoe. You're better off to double down on a pair of 5s out of a single deck and maybe even a double deck, but out of a shoe you're better to split them because in most casinos you can resplit and resplit maybe 3 or 4 times. Be sure to ask your dealer. Aces you can only really split once or twice in most casinos. Be sure to ask your dealer for that rule. So doubling down on a pair of 5s is okay out of a single deck or double deck, but out of a shoe I like to split because I might get another 5 and another 5, and that way I get 3 and 4 times my money on the table when that dealer's got a bad card showing. Pair of 6s, I split a pair of 6s. Look at my screen. Look at your screen. I know when I hit a pair of 6s, split a pair of 6s. Pair of 7s, I'll split a pair of 7s when he's got a 2 and a 7 showing. Not bad. A third of the deck is face cards. Odds are you get a face card on one of these. So if the dealer's got a 7 showing, chances are he's got 17. I got a good chance to get 17 on one of them and maybe make a good hand out of the other one. And if I lose, I lose. But you got 14 with a pair of 7s. Do you want to hit it? Stand on a 14? Now, learn how to take chances in this game. Always split a pair of 8s unless that dealer's got an ace showing. Pair of 9s. Split a pair of 9s unless the dealer shows a 7, a face card, or an ace. Never split face cards. That doesn't make sense. Although Scarney in his book says you can split face cards when a dealer shows a 5 or a 6. Woo! See, everybody has their own idea on blackjack. I'm a wide open player. I split and I'll double down when that dealer's got a 2 showing, a 7 showing. I'll double down on an 8 when that dealer's got a 7 showing. You know, I play wide open blackjack. I love to get money on the table. It's the way I play poker. I love those raises. I love those re-raises. In case I win, I got money in the pot. Always split aces when it comes to splitting. A third of the deck is face cards. Odds are you get a face card on one of those aces. A third of the deck is face cards. And if you get a face card when you split your aces, that's not a blackjack anymore. That's just a 21. Blackjack's on your first 2 cards when you get an ace and a face card. Now, here's my chart on doubling down. Look at this chart on your screen right now. Doubling down. I'll double down on 11 right up to that dealer's got a 10 showing. I love to get that money on the table. There's a lot of players say no, only double down when the dealer's got a 3, 4, 5, or 6 showing. Maybe a 2, maybe a 7, but other than that, you're asking for trouble. I love to ask for trouble. I'll double down when my first 2 cards total 10 right up to when that dealer's got a 9 showing. I'll double down on my first 2 cards total 8. I'll double down on my first 2 cards total 7. And don't forget those soft hands. Ace deuce, ace 3, ace 4, ace 5. Learn when to double down on those. Ace 6, ace 7. There's even some books that say ace 8. And there's even a book that says ace 9, but that's at 20. You know what I mean? You're asking for trouble. But if you feel lucky and you got guts, man, and you're here to gamble, you do what you like. Do you know what? Don't tell anybody I told you this. I've doubled down on my first 2 cards total 5 or 6. Why not? I feel lucky. Listen to this, and don't tell anybody I told you this. I've doubled down on my first 2 cards total 12. Yeah, 10 and a 2. I turn it up. Dealer's got a 6 showing. Why? All the face cards went out the last ad. I ain't going to get a face card. I like it when the dealer turns to me and he says, what are you doing? I'm doubling down. Sir, you got 12. I know. I've been able to count to 12 since I was 16. If I give you a queen, you got 22, you lose. Kid, you ain't going to give me a queen. All the face cards are in the deck. Give me a card. He peels off a 9. I love it. Pit boss comes over. He picks up that deck. He thinks I'm marking cards. He feels I knew that was a 9. I love to scare those pit bosses. You say, well, Jimmy, if the dealer's got a 6 showing and all the face cards are out of the deck, hasn't that dealer got a good chance to make that breaking hand? I know, but I'm here to gamble. And listen to this. I've even doubled down on a blackjack. You know, one of my favorite tricks in the old days? Used to take my girlfriend to the casino with a low-cut dress and sit her in seat 1 where there's an Italian dealer. Italians can't keep their eyes off breasts. He's like, I sit over here in seat 7. That's your best seat to sit in anyway, seat 7. And always play 2 seats, seat 6 and seat 7. You're always playing 2 hands against that dealer's 1. And usually if you play 2 hands and it's a $5 table, you got to double your bet on the second hand. And in some casinos, they make you double your bet on both hands, but that's okay. I love to play 2 seats anyway, seat 6 and seat 7. Your best gamble is to play 3 seats at a single deck table with nobody else at the table. That's your best gamble if you're a card counter. So I sit over here in seat 7, right? Here's my girlfriend in seat 1, and this Italian is looking at my girlfriend. He doesn't know we're together, and I turn over my blackjack and I put out double my money, and the kid catches me. He says, "What if he doesn't catch me, I get paid extra. But if he catches me, what are you doing? I'm doubling down." He says, "What? I got a 6 showing. You got a blackjack, sir. You get 3 to 2 automatically." Kid, I don't want 3 to 2. I want 2 to 1. Give me a face card. It's 11, and no face cards were out the last hand. See, you want to become a gambler, you got to work at it. And I'm telling you a lot of tips on this tape of what to do, and play it over and over and over again, and hear all these tips and learn all these tips. Learning how to hit properly, split properly, double down properly, that's what you got to master to become a good blackjack player. Now, what table should you sit at? When I go to a casino, I kind of look at this table, I look at this table, I look at this table before I sit down. I'll even buy my chips at a cashier's cage. Now you got to buy them at the table at most casinos too. So go up to a table, put out a $100 bill, get a stack of red chips, bet 1 hand, and now walk out with $95 and look at that table, look at that table. Here's a table here with 7 players. There's a table, 7 players, 7 players. All the tables are full every weekend anyways. Oh, here's about 9, 10 face cards in this table. Here's about 10, 11, 12 face cards in this table. There's no face cards in this table. I want that seat. I want the next hand coming out of that deck. That deck is full of face cards. So I'll even start. I'm going to get a good start. That's a good hand. All those face cards in that deck, give me a 20. Give me a blackjack. Watch those aces and the faces. They're the best cards to watch. And 5s. 5s are the best card in the deck for the dealer. Aces and faces are the best cards for us players. Know when they're in the deck or out of the deck. Aces and faces in that deck, add more to your bet. 5s are out of the deck, add more to your bet. Why? 5s are the best card in the deck for the dealer. Why? 5s make the dealer's breaking hands. Every breaking hand. He's got a 12. 5 makes it a 17. He's got a 13. 5 makes it an 18. He's got a 14. 5 makes it a 19. He's got 15. 5 makes it a 20. He's got 16. 5 makes it a 21. That's a dealer's best card. You say, Jimmy, that's a small percentage. My friend, all the small percentages in gambling is what's going to make you a better player. Learn all these little percentages, please. What seat? Seat 6 and seat 7. You're always playing 2 seats against that dealer's 1. Sit at a full table. I like a full table, especially when I'm playing out of a shoe, where there's a shoe at the table. You see a lot of those around now. And I love playing out of a shoe, and I'm going to tell you that in just a second, too. Why play at a full table, Jimmy? Because for $2 or 2 chips, you know, 2 red chips, 2 green chips. You know the red chips are $5 each. Green chips are $25 each. Black chips are $100 each. And I'm going to tell you why to start with 2 chips in just a second, too. You get to see more cards coming off the deck when you're sitting in the last seat, especially when it comes to hitting a breaking hand. How many face cards were at the last hand? About 8? And all cards are dealt face up too, which I like. They're not dealt face down, where the little old ladies used to take their cards and peek and put them under their money. I said, sweetheart, if you got face cards, shut up, play your own hand. Now they're dealt face up. I know how many face cards are at the last hand. I can see how many face cards are on this hand. And when this guy takes a card, and this lady takes a card, and this guy takes a card, and this guy takes a card, and I'm sitting in the last seat, I get to see even more cards coming off the deck before I have to hit my breaking hands. Better percentage seats, sitting in the last 2 seats too. Now, you want to talk about multi-deck tables? Single deck versus a double deck versus playing out of a shoe. Do you know one thing wrong with a single deck table? You only get one hand at a full table. And most tables are full on the weekend anyways. Unless you're the only player at the table and you're playing maybe 2 or 3 seats and it's a single deck and you're a card counter, and I'll cover card counting in just a second too. You want to play at a single deck table and it's a full table, okay? All right. Dealer deals out one hand, everybody. A lot of little cards come out on the table. Chances are there's about 30 cards on the table. He's got an 8, he hits it with a 3, he's got 11, he hits it with a 5, he's got 16, he hits it with a 3, he takes a 2, he takes a 5, he takes a 6, he takes a 2, he takes a 6, he takes a 7, he takes a 3, he takes a 4, he takes a 4, he takes a deuce. All those little cards on the table, you say, oh boy, that dealer's hand is full of face cards. I'm going to put up more money for my next hand. You know what? He's going to shuffle. 2 reasons. If he doesn't, number 1, he'll get fired. He deals that second hand out of a single deck table with all those face cards. He'll give you a 20, you a 20, you a 20, you a 20, you a 20. There's 7 seats for the players, only 1 seat for the house. Most of the face cards will go there, and he'll empty his rack and he'll lose his job. For another reason, he probably has to shuffle anyways, because if a lot of little cards come out of a single deck, chances are there's 30 cards on the table. He's only got about 20 cards left. He doesn't have enough cards left to deal to 7 people, so he has to shuffle. You know what, my friend? You're missing a very valuable percentage. It's that second hand that comes off the deck that makes you a winner. The first hand is always a blind hand. I don't care if you're playing at a single deck, double deck, or out of a shoe. The first hand out of a professionally shuffled deck is a blind hand. Nobody knows the first hand. It's the next hand that I got a percentage, and the hand after that where I got a percentage. That's why I played out of a shoe. At least at a double deck table, with 2 decks, double deck, you get 3 hands at a full table. So if a lot of little cards come out on that first hand, you can add to your bet for the next hand. See, watching face cards and aces will make you a better player, because that's a tip on when to add to your bet. Because in that second hand, you got a great chance to catch face cards and aces. And think about this. Once, twice, 3, 4 times an hour, a lot of little cards come out on the second hand. You suck it to him. That kid's hand is full of face cards. Now it's time to pump up that bet, pal. Here come those face cards. You got a good chance to catch a 20. You say, Jimmy, the dealer's got an equal chance to catch a 20. Now, that's true, but when you're equal with the dealer, it's time to add to your bet. And think about this. Next hand, you get a 12 with all those face cards in the deck. Are you going to take a card? I don't think so. But if that dealer's got a 12, 13, 14, 15, or 16, has he got a choice? No. Dealer must hit up to 16. With all those face cards in the deck, come on, kid, take a card. Come on, take one, take one. I like my chances. I like to play out of a shoe. That's that box on the table where they got 6 decks of cards in that box on the table. You know why? For one good reason, each seat gets 10 uninterrupted hands. 10 hands, 10 hands, 10 hands. You know to the next 10 hands you're going to win 5 and lose 5. You watch and see. Wouldn't you like to know what 5 you're going to win, though? Wouldn't that be nice to know? You might win 6 hands and only lose 4. You probably win 4 and lose 6 because it favors a casino. But you might win 7 and only lose 3. Wouldn't that be a great shoe for your seat? Catch it, pal. Each seat gets lucky cards. When that rush comes to your seat, that's when you pump up your bet, because it's your time to make money. And be careful, because the dealer has a seat too, and when the cards are coming to the dealer's seat, it's time to lower your bet or get your rear end out of there. So I love to play out of a shoe. I watch those cards come out of that shoe like I watch waves coming up the beach here at San Diego. I watch those little cards come out and I add to my bet. I watch the big cards come out and I lower my bet. How much do I raise and lower my bet? That depends how many big cards and little cards come out of that shoe. It's like watching the dice at the craps table. I watch those 6s and 8s, and I watch those 7s, and I watch those 5s and the 9s, and I see those numbers coming out of those dice just like I watch the deck at blackjack. I play a very natural and a very relaxed game, and in a couple of minutes I'm going to teach you a money management system that fits right into that style of watching cards. But when it comes to watching cards, all the experts will say, play at a single deck and count cards. Counting cards. Boy, is that a pain on the rear end. You know, I tried that in 1948 when I was 12 years old. Yeah, my dad ran a gambling house in North Dakota. When I was a kid, I had to deal blackjack every night after school, but I made good tips. I made more money than the kids delivering newspapers or setting pins in a bowling alley, so I didn't mind doing that at all. And I learned from the old men. All the old men came in, and I asked the old men, sir, what makes you a good player? Patience, Jimmy, patience. That's the one thing they all told me. Money management. Watching your money, Jimmy. Watching that deck, Jimmy. And I learned from all these old men, sure. But my dad taught me card counting, and I tried it, and it's work. Look at this chart on the screen right now. Here's a card counting chart on your screen right now. Have a look at this. Now, when an ace, deuce, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or a 10 is up, you see the minus and the plus. The little cards are usually a plus and the big cards are a minus. Now, there's two systems on top right now for you to look at. You get any book on blackjack, and every book might even have up to 5 card counting systems, and all card counting systems are slightly different. Which one are you going to use? I don't know. I tried them all. At the bottom is mine. You want a nice, easy one? Look at that third system down there. All the little cards are +1, and all the big cards are -1. And never mind the 7s, 8s, and 9s. They're kind of the mediocre cards. They're no better for the dealer than they are for me. It's the big cards that are good for me and the little cards that are good for the dealer. That's how I want to know how the deck is shaping up. Now, you'll even notice on the top two where a 5 can be a +3 or a +4, because that's the most important card in the deck for the dealer. That proves it. And look at the aces. Aces can be -3, -2, -4 in some systems. All systems are different. So if you want a card counting system, study it, practice it, try it, get some more books, try other card counting systems. But I'll tell you, one night I came over from school, my dad said, "Sit down, Jimmy, the house was empty, let me deal some blackjack to you, let me see how you're playing lately." My dad taught me to be a player. And I was playing, and after about 3 or 4 hands, my dad said, "You're not counting cards anymore." I said, "No, Dad, that's a lot of work. I'd rather just watch a deck." He says, "Good for you, Jimmy. That's playing smart. Use your heart." It's called a gambler's heart. So when it comes to card counting, I'm not in favor of too much at all. Now, the biggest secret of all in winning is money management. You can learn blackjack just as good as me. You probably know blackjack as good as me right now. Once you play, and the big trick to becoming good at blackjack is play, and play a lot, and play often. Ask any expert, how do you become good at blackjack? Play. Play a lot, play every day, play often. The more you play, the better you become at the game. But also read books, study, play this tape over and over and over again. Listen to all the tips that I'm giving you on this tape. But you can know blackjack as good as me. You can know all percentages as good as me. You can know when to split and when to double down and when to hit, providing you know the deck is in certain shape, as good as me. But if you don't know how and when to use your money and how much money to use, you're a loser. I'm a winner. I know to put my money in that craps table. I watch that river of numbers, and I watch it, and I know when to jump in that river and make money, when to get out of that river, because here comes a 7. That's what you do. Well, in this game, you watch the deck. There's 4 things to watch. Watch your luck, watch the dealer's luck, watch a deck, watch your money. That's what makes you a good blackjack player. Face cards in the deck, I add to my bet. Little cards in the deck, lower my bet, because that gives the dealer a good chance to make his breaking hands, of course. When I'm running lucky, bet more money on the table. Don't go crazy. Don't go crazy. Just bet a little bit more when you're winning and less when you're losing. Get down to the table minimum when you're losing. But add a chip or 2 chips, and don't go crazy. Don't all of a sudden go from 2 chips to $20 or $50. It doesn't make sense. The one thing we don't like is a guy that bets $2, he loses, $2, he loses, $2, he loses, out comes $50. Yeah. You lose that one bet, you're dead. You go home right now, pal. You lose that one bet, you want to play some more, you go to your wallet, you buy some more chips, go down to your $2 bet, and you can win most of your bets the rest of the day. You will not recover your $50 loss. It's too heavy of a loss for a $2 base bet to recover over any reasonable given period of time. And the longer you spend at any table, at any game, the better chance a casino has of beating you. The percentage is in their favor, not in your favor. And you will never beat a dealer 10 hands in a row either. Don't even consider it. It won't happen in a year. Go try it. You beat a dealer 3, maybe 4. Maybe 5 hands in a row. You just had your lucky streak. So you can't wait till you win 6 hands in a row and say, okay, now I'm lucky, I'm going to start betting more money. It's too late. The train left the station half an hour ago. You got to catch those lucky streaks right off the bat, because they don't last that long. You can't wait for them. So the winning is in the money. Watch your luck. Watch a dealer's luck. He's no different than you. You can be a blackjack dealer. He has good luck streaks and bad luck streaks just like we do. And when you're running bad, you don't have to hit those breaking hands, because you're running bad right now. But when the dealer's running bad, has he got a choice? He's stuck. He's in a rut. He's got to keep hitting those breaking hands even when he's running bad. So watch your luck, watch your dealer's luck, watch a deck, and watch your money. And here's how to watch your money, and here's how to bet your money. First of all, I'm going to teach you a grind system. You go to any book in the library, you can get maybe 20, 30. Get my videotape on money management. That's the best videotape in the world for any gambler. Be sure to get it, please. I got 30 different money management systems, some of them from France, Italy, Germany, going back 200, 300 years. And it'll tell you all about control of money and money management. But I'm going to teach you one mechanical system right now. But here's the way I look at mechanical system. Then I'm going to teach you my system. My system that I built up over the years, my Jimmy Descott system. It's a combination of a couple of old systems with a slant that I've added to it that makes it a good system. And it's a natural system. It's a relaxed system. It's not a mechanical system. There's no book in the library that can tell me how much to bet on this next blackjack hand. It doesn't know the shape of that deck. It doesn't know my luck. It doesn't know the dealer's luck. It's in the library. I'm in the game. It's knowing how to use your money at the game while the game is being played that's going to make you a winner. But you want to learn a mechanical system? Here's a system called the 31 double back or the 31 double once. It's on your screen right now. Have a look at this chart right on your screen right now. The 31 double back system or the 31 double one, double once, something like that. It's a mechanical system. I'm showing you this system because they used to sell it in magazines years ago. You want the best money management system in the world? Send $300, we'll send you the system. Well, I'll save you the $300. Here's the system there to send you in the mail. You bet 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 4, 4, 8, 8. You add that all up, it comes to 31. So you got to lose what? 8 hands in a row before you lose $31? So it's cheap enough, all right? And when you win, you got to double once. And if you win the second time, you go back to the beginning. If you don't win the second time, you continue betting from where you left off. Now you repeat this and you'll understand what I mean. You can practice at home. Okay, I got it. Here, let me show you what I mean. You got a bunch of chips. 31 double one system. You bet 1. You lose, you bet 1. You lose, you bet 1. You lose, you bet 2. All right? You win. Double once. Now, you win your second time, you got 8. 4 was yours. That 4 came from the casino, and you lost 3. So, you're up 1. You're up 1 unit. Now, in gambling, we call them units. Not like betting $1. Betting one $5 chip, one $10 chip. I do this with $5 chips. So when I win $5. If you do it with dollars, every time you win, you're going to win $1. You win 1 every time you win. Remember, when you win twice, go back to square one and start 1, 1, 1, 2, 2. When you win, double once only. If you win the second time, go back to square one. If you lose that second, double. Continue betting at the 2, 4, 4 until you win twice. So it's like a 2-win system. Get my tape on money management. Now, here's my system. I call this a 2, 3, 4, the 3, 5, 7, which are the old systems, which you might know about, but I'm going to stress those right now. But a parlay press is a secret to winning on all systems. And I stress it on this. I call it Jimmy Scott system. 2, 3, 4. You bet 2, then 3, then 4. Start with 2 units. I don't know, $2, 2 $5 chips, 2 green chips, 2 black chips, whatever your limit is. You know, if you win more money, you bet big money. If you're poor like me, you bet dollars or $5 chips. I put out 2 chips. All right? It's called a 2, 3, 4. I'm going to start with that. I bet 2 units. I win. I take 1, I let 3 ride. There's my 3 for the next bet. If I win that, I take 2 and let 4 ride. 2, 3, 4. Why is that a good system? Well, if I bet 2 units and I win my first hand, I take 1 and let 3 ride. If I win my second hand, at least I have saved 1 to pay for half of my bet on my next hand. I wasn't being totally aggressive. Because you never know when you're starting your lucky streak. And just because you won 1 hand, that might not be your streak. And in case I lose my second hand, at least I've saved something to restart. I'm not being greedy at this. See, I start with 2 units. I win my first hand. I take 1. I let 3 ride. If I win my second hand, I take 2 and let 4 ride. If I lose that hand, I got 2 to start over with to pay for my 4th hand. And if I lose that, I still got 1 chip left over from my previous bet to pay for half of my bet on my 4th hand. I'm conserving my money, and yet I'm betting more when I'm winning, and when I'm winning, I'm saving something for when I lose, because you don't win all the time. It's a cautious system, and yet an aggressive system. You're adding to your bet because you never know when you're starting your lucky streak. I wish I knew when I was starting my lucky streak. Is this my lucky streak? You know, you win your first hand. Is this my lucky streak? You win your second hand. Is this my lucky streak? You never know. So I know because I'm ready for it at all times. Called a 2, 3, 4 system. Now, when I'm winning, I get up a few chips, right? When I get on their money, I got more money to bet with now, don't I? All right. I do the 3, 5, 7 system. See, now I start with 3 instead of 2. I'm increasing my beginning action. Instead of starting with 2 now, I got money, so I'm starting with 3 chips. I win my first hand. I take 1, I let 5 ride. 5. If I win my second hand, I take 3 and let 7 ride. 3, 5, 7. Why is that a good system? Well, if I start with 3 chips and I win my first hand, and I take 1 and let 5 ride, if I win my second hand, at least I have saved 1 to pay for 1/3 of my next start. I'm being aggressive and yet cautious at the same time. I start with 3. I win my first hand, I take 1 and let 5 ride. If I win my second hand, I take 3 and let 7 ride. Come on, baby. Do you know, on my third hand, I can double down for 7 units? That's $70 right there. and win $140 on my third hand because I play with red chips? I'm being very aggressive. And yet if I lose the third hand, I save 3 chips to pay for my fourth hand. And if I lose that, I still got 1 chip from the hand before that to pay for a third of my bet on my fifth hand. It's knowing how to use your money that's going to make you a winner at gambling, called the 3-5-7. So you start with the 2-3-4, and if you're doing good at that, go into the 3-5-7. And you know that's not the answer. Here is the answer. Knowing when to press your bet. When to parlay, which is a full double, or when to press your bet, which is adding more to your bet. Maybe it's called capping your bet. See, for example, if I start with 2 chips, and I win my first hand, I don't always take 1 and let 3 ride. If that deck is full of face cards, and I really feel lucky, I will parlay or press my bet. And here's a trick. When you parlay your bet or press your bet, don't just double your bet like a wimp. Go back to your stack and cap it with 1 more chip. If you'd have lost, you had to put out 2. You're playing a 2-3-4 system. From my next hand, I'm only putting out 1 more. And what's a better time to put out 1 more than when I just won a hand and I feel lucky and that deck is full of face cards and that dealer had a 12 and broke on a 12. That's about as low as you can go. So you got to know when to throw punches, just like Joe Louis. You don't just come out bob and weave, bob and weave. You got to look for an opening, and every once in a while you got to get in with a punch, and that's what you do with your money, because you're fighting that dealer with your money. I start with 2 chips. I win my first hand. I take 1, I let 3 ride. I win my second hand, and that deck is full of face cards. I don't just take 1 and let 5 ride. Now I'll parlay, and when I parlay, I cap my bet on my second hand. I now can double down for $70 and win $140 on my second hand. You gotta know when to throw those punches. You gotta know when to parlay, you gotta know when to press. That's what's gonna make you winner. And that comes from the heart. And that comes by watching your deck and watching your money and watching your luck and watching the dealer luck. The winning is all in the money. Study this tape, please. Money management. Now let me just finish off with a couple of tips here. Insurance is a silly bet that I get a lot of arguments on, and I don't want to hear the argument, okay? I know the argument. You say insurance is when you get a blackjack, dealer's got an ace showing you're insuring your blackjack. Wrong, 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 wrong. Insurance is simply when the dealer shows an ace, he says, does anybody want insurance? He's asking you, do you think I got a face card under my ace? That's all there is to it. You think he's got a face card under that ace? Do you want to bet? How much can you bet? Up to half of your original bet. You got $10. You want to bet that he's got a face card under there? You can bet up to $5. You don't have to bet half your bet. You ask a dealer how much insurance. Dealers are trained to say half your bet. No, 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 up to half. You can put out $1 if you want, 2 if you wish, 3 if you feel lucky, 4 if the dealer's unlucky, 5 if you saw it. So you can use some intelligence in that bet, and it pays 2 to 1. That's the most money you can win at a blackjack table, 2 to 1 for insurance. How can you make a good guess, Jimmy, as to whether he's got a face card under his ace? How many face cards went out the last hand? None? Now, see, I play smart. I play wise, and it pays 2 to 1 too. So watch those face cards and learn how to play that silly little bet called insurance. You might say, well, if I got a blackjack, shouldn't I insure my blackjack? Why? Why? You got a blackjack, that doesn't mean he's got a face card under his ace. You say, well, I can't lose. Yes, you can. Well, how can I? Very simple. The reason they pay you 2 to 1 is because the odds are greater than 2 to 1. You know everything favors a casino. See, under that ace, there's 9 cards under there says he hasn't got it. Only 4 cards says he has it. 10, Jack, Queen, King. Face cards, right? 9 cards under there. But there's an ace showing, so that's actually 8.75 cards under there. The odds are 8.75 to 4. A little bit better than 2 to 1, and they pay you 2 to 1. You know it favors a casino, but that's not such a heavy bet to overcome. That's not a big percentage to overcome. So it does favor the casino. You say, I got a blackjack, I can't lose. Okay, you got $10, you put out $5, okay? Now, the dealer looks and he hasn't got it. There goes the $5 you bet. You say, yeah, but I got paid $15 for my blackjack now. No, you only get 10 now, because you threw off $5 when the time wasn't right. Now you're back to even money for your blackjack. Don't be in a hurry to give up that extra money the casino pays you for getting a blackjack. So learn how and when to take that insurance bet. Add it to your game. Learn the game first, but here's an extra way to make money at the blackjack table. It's like betting on the hard 8 at the craps table, or the hard 6, or those proposition bets. It's an extra way to make money at the craps table while you're playing the game of craps. Well, here's an extra way to make money at the blackjack table while you're playing the game of blackjack. Here are the 8 qualities of a good gambler. You want to be a good gambler? 1 is knowledge. That's why you bought this tape, to learn those special skills it's going to take you to become a good gambler. Knowledge. Skill. That only comes through practice. There's no other way to become skillful than practice, practice, practice. That's how you get to Carnegie Hall. Patience, my friend. Patience. That's what the old men tell me. Wait for it, Jimmy. Don't be in a hurry to lose. Timing. See, without timing, you can wait as long as you want. But if you haven't got timing, you're going to miss the boat. So you got to have timing in there. You got to have money management, which I proved to you on this tape. Money management, guts. You got to have guts. You got to be able to stick to your system. And if the system says you got to come out and bet $80 now, then you got to bet the $80. You say, but I'm losing right now. But you'll know when you lose. You don't like the system, you scrap it. But don't give up. You got a system, I got a system, everybody's got a system. Stick to your system and have the guts to stick to your system. It's like a poker. You come up, bet 1,000, and I raise and make it 2,000, you gotta have the guts to come back and say, make it 3. You gotta know to re-raise. You gotta have guts when it comes to gambling. Stick to your system, that's the 7th quality. And the last quality, and most important, know when to quit. Quit when you won, quit when you're losing. Don't quit while you're winning. It's great while you're winning. But when you reach a certain amount, quit. You made it, pal. You sat down to win, you won. You say, but I'm winning, I want to keep winning, then you're going to lose. Or when you get to a certain amount and you start slipping and sliding, don't slide all the way down. Get out of there, bail out before you lose it all back. Knowing when to quit is what's going to make you a good gambler. And that's your 8th quality of being a good gambler. Now, ask your dealer for any special rules they have at the table, because in some casinos, at some blackjack tables, they got special rules. Like there's a casino in Las Vegas. There's other casinos too. You got to ask your dealer, though. For example, some casinos will let you double down after you split. Some casinos. You got to ask your dealer, can I double down after I split? Not in this casino, sir. But some casinos, after you split a pair of 3s and he gives you an 8 here, now you got 11, now you can double down. You can double down after you split. And in some casinos, you can double down after your 3rd card. See, I got a 7 and a deuce, I got 9. Give me a card. He gives me a 2, I got 11. Now I can double down on your 3rd card. Some casinos, but you got to ask for that little rule. There's even some casinos where 6 cards under 21 is an automatic winner. Well, that's a sucker bet too, because you get 4 cards under 21, you hit it again, you get 5 cards under 21. It's a casino incentive to make you go for that 6th card. And you know the odds of hitting that 6th card and staying under 21 is tremendously in favor of the casino. So that could be like a come on. But you got to know those special rules you got to ask for. Double exposure. In some casinos now, the dealer shows both his cards. But you only get even money for your blackjack, and they take all your pushes. Any tie, they take it. So when a casino's giving you something, you better believe they're going to take something too. And look for the game called multiple action blackjack, which I teach on my beginner's blackjack tape, where you make 3 bets and you play 1 hand against the dealer's 3 hands. You put out 3 bets. Dealer gives you 2 cards. You got a 20, dealer's got a 5 showing. Stand. That dealer's got to beat you 3 hands with that 20, so you get 1 hand. And the dealer's got to use the same up card for all 3 hands. Now, if he makes a 21 on his 1st card, he'll take your 1st bet. Next hand he breaks, he'll pay you for your 2nd hand. He moves a 5 over, he breaks again, he pays you for your 3rd hand. It's not bad. You know why? Because it's a built-in lucky streak. If you get a blackjack, bang, 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 you win all 3 bets in a row. It's like winning 3 hands at once. And the warning I have on that game is be careful about hitting breaking hands. Because you got a 13, and that dealer's got a 6 showing, and you break, you know, and even if the dealer's got a face card showing, and even if he's got an ace showing, I don't like hitting a breaking hand, a multiple action blackjack, because if you break, there go all 3 bets at one time. I say, okay, dealer, let's see you beat me 3 times with my 13. Sometimes I win 1 or 2 of those 3 bets and save my money. So you don't have to lose all your money by hitting breaking hands at that game. Now, I'll give you a couple of tips on watching your dealer, too. Learn how to do this. It's not cheating. Watch your dealer. It's you against the dealer. Dealers have faults, you know. For one reason, that dealer looks under his card, right? Under his face card to see if he's got a blackjack. And in some casinos now, they don't look under their face card until after the hand is over. It saves the dealer looking under there and cheating by wiggling his finger and letting people at or his mother at the table know that he's got a 20 or a 19, a good hand under there. And in England, they don't put the card under till after the hand is over. Now, in that case, or where they don't look till after the hand is over, dealer's got a face card showing. If you split or double down against that face card, and you make it, and it turns out he's got a blackjack, you get your money back for your double down. You'd lose on your 20, but you get your money back for your double down because you would normally have not doubled down, and when that dealer's got a blackjack, you'd have lost automatically, so keep that in mind too. Dealer looks under his face card, he's got a 4 under there. If he looks twice, you know he's got a 4 under there. Because you're looking to see if he has an ace, and the top of the ace looks like the top of a 4. They say not all dealers do that, I know, but some do. They look twice. And if you catch him once, you can catch him the 2nd time. Dealer looks under his face card, right? And he's got a face card under there. At a shoe, he'll turn to you and say, do you want a card? No. If you don't want a card, he just turns over his 20. He looked under there. He knows he's got 20. But if he looks under there and he's got a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, his hand will go to the shoe. over here first and say, do you want a card? He's telegraphing that he has a breaking hand. Watch that for a dealer too. And some dealers have little funny things. It's like studying your pitcher when you're playing baseball. You got a pitcher who stands sideways to the plate. You know he's coming with his curve. If he stands square to the plate, here comes his fastball. So watch your dealer. Watch for any little mistakes your dealer might have at the table. Blackjack. Learn how to play it. Learn how to win at it. Play this tape over and over and over. And get all my tapes on blackjack. Learning all the games will make you a better player at any one game. Gambling is interconnected. Good luck. Hope to see you in Las Vegas. Okay, let me deal a couple of hands right now, and I'll demonstrate to you how important card counting is and how it affects your betting. I got 7 players sitting at the table, and I'm going to deal to these 7 players. And don't worry, I'll do this very slowly so you'll be able to follow me. And we'll start over here with hand number 1. Hand number 1 has a 13. Dealer has a king showing. Would you hit a 13 with a king showing? It's my lucky number. Sometimes I just feel lucky. We made it in 18. Player number 2 has a 7. King showing. You're not going to double down. You certainly can't split. You don't have a pair, so you're going to take a hit on that. 17 is now a good hand. 12. You feel lucky on hitting that 12. Dealer's got a face card showing. You're going to hit those 12 a lot, even when the dealer's got a 2 showing. Made a good hand out of that, didn't we? A 21. Here's the 13. Again, my lucky number. Let's give it a try. We made a 17 out of it. Here's a 16. I don't like hitting those 16s unless that dealer's an ace showing. They're tough hands to hit. I don't like hitting 15s. I don't even like hitting 16s. I don't even like hitting 14s. Here's a 12, though, and let's give that a shot, see what happens there. We made a 20 out of that. That was a good hit. And the last hand here, a total of 7, is going to take a card, of course. Now an 11. In some casinos, you can double down after your 3rd card. It gets very rare, though. Take another hit on that, and you made a 21 out of it. Now let's see what the dealer has here. He's got a 12. And he's got to take a card. Dealer's got to hit, of course, up to 16, and he breaks. He's over 21. Now, at this point here, I tell you your best seat to sit in is seat 7. You actually should play 2 seats, seat 6 and seat 7. You're always playing 2 hands against the dealer's 1 hand, and you can work your cards 1 hand toward the other. Now, if you were sitting in seat 7, as the dealer deals and hits these hands, you start card counting from the first seat, and starting in seat number 1, for example. I'm going to use a system, let's say, where 2s, 3s, and 4s are +1, 5s are +2, and 6s are +1. 7s, 8s, and 9s you disregard in most systems, although in some systems the 9s can be -1. The face cards is where I consider -1, and the aces -2. So 7s, 8s, and 9s are 0. Now, you can count this as a +1, +2, +1. Because that's a minus. And as he's hitting the next hand, you would go +3, +4, +3. The 9s are nothing, of course. You can do that way if you want, which I find very boring. What I suggest you do is wait till all the cards are dealt out, and then the first thing you want to do is glance across the table very quickly as the dealer is hitting his hand. You don't care what happens here. You got no control over that. And count the little cards, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, and the 6s. That's what I do. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't count the 7s, 8s, and 9s. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there's 13 little cards out. 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s. How many face cards are out? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, there's 13 plus cards and only 6 minus cards, which gives you a difference of 7. So that means right now, for the next hand coming out of this double deck, the count is +7, which is a superior count. Now, when the dealer picks up all those cards, you got to consider what your next bet is going to be. Now, with a +7, I recommend you bet the minimum plus at least 3 or 4 more chips. If your minimum bet is 2 chips, I would probably bet 5 chips, because +7 is a super count. And let's see what happens on this next hand. Why you add to your bet when the deck is really plus, which means there's a lot of face cards left in the deck. So let's try this second hand, and you're going to see a lot of face cards, because a lot of face cards didn't come out in the first hand. There's 11 face cards left in the deck. Only 5 of them came out of the deck. Dealer's got a 6 this time. Dealer's got a possible breaking hand. That makes it even better when there's a lot of face cards in the deck, because that dealer's got to take a card. Dealer must draw to 16. He's going to have to take a card. Now we start in seat number 1. 19, a good hand. Here's a blackjack, which is an automatic winner in seat number 2. Seat number 3. You got a 14, dealer's got a 6 showing. I don't like hitting a 14, 15, or 16. I told you that, especially when that dealer's got a breaking card showing. I wouldn't take a card on that 14. 17, good hand, especially when that dealer's got a 6 showing. You're not going to hit that. 15, I don't hit 15s. If I'm not going to hit a 14, I'm not going to hit a 15 either when that dealer's got a 6 showing especially. Here's another blackjack. So we ended up with 2 blackjacks on that hand. That's another reason to put out more money. No aces went out in that first hand. And only 5 face cards went out in that first hand. So on this second hand, you suppose, you assume, you hope that you got a good chance to get a blackjack, and 2 of them did come out of the deck. Now here in seat number 7, we got a 13. Dealer's got a 6 showing. Now whether you take a card or not, that's up to you. But if you take a card on that 13, you might take a face card that breaks you, the same face card that this dealer might take. Do you want to take a chance on that? Let's see what happens. And you did. You went over 21. You lost automatically. Dealer's just going to take your money. Let's see if that's a card that would help the dealer break this hand. Dealer did break anyways. You got a 9, you got 25. So you can see with a lot of big cards left in the deck, when that dealer's got a 6 showing, he's going to have a tough time making that hand. Let's even give it another try. 16, 26. So when there's a lot of face cards in the deck, it's time for you to add more to your bet. Now, if you're a minimum better of 2 units, such as I do, or a minimum better of 3 units, if that's your style, or 4 units, 5 units, whatever your minimum bet is. Then when it's a +1 deck, you'd add 1 more unit to your next bet. If it's a +2 deck, you'd add 2 more units to your next bet. If it's a +3 deck, you might want to add 3 more units to your next bet, or maybe even now start going to 4 units. Because when it gets to +3, +4, +5, that means that deck coming off for the next hand has got a lot of big cards in it. And if it gets +6, +7, +8, that's a super plus count. So that demonstrates to you how to count those cards. And I want you to play this over and over and over again and digest it, okay?